Tanaka with him, who was the man that worked with Marco Antonio Barrera. Miguel Diaz, of course, and Shinji Muraki worked that corner with Murata, so he's got a very professional corner. Round 3, in the white trunks with the red trim is Gunnar Jackson. Dark trunks, navy blue trunks is Ryota Murata from Japan, and so far to this point it's been Murata just outboxing him. This is a boxing match. Nice uppercuts. Murata, will just waltz into that area that I call the hit zone or the kill zone, because he has no fear of the power of Jackson. So he's just lingering in there and trying to set up some hard shots like that one there. Didn't quite land it flush to the left side of the skull of Jackson, but Jackson takes a whale of a punch anyway, so he's going to be tough to take him out. And if he does, it's a big sign that Murata has some significant power. Right now, Murata's as happy to just box this guy because he's won both the first 2 rounds, and he's winning here the first minute and some of the 3rd round. Murata again in the blue with the red shoes to the right of your screen. In the red and white trunks is the New Zealander Gunnar Jackson. That's the biggest hope for the people that are watching in New Zealand, of course, is the big heavyweight Joseph Parker, who's been sensational at this point in his career. Just stopped my old buddy Kelly Meehan, who fought for the heavyweight championship of the world and came within a hen's tooth of winning the title over Layman Brewster. 2 great guys. Murata works downstairs, blasts him to the body. Gee, Christina, Jackson just can't do anything with this guy, can he?
No, it looks like he's a little bit frustrated, and even when he comes in with his hooks, he's kind of like just getting caught in the arms.
Yeah.
He's not giving himself much space.
Well, that's to the experience of, the extensive amateur career that Murata had. And again, Murata had all kinds of international competition, which Gunnar didn't have.
Right. I mean, even though he's only had 7 professional fights in Ryota Murata, I mean, he's 29 years old. He's been fighting in the amateur ranks for many, many years in the Olympics and several amateur world championships. So he's more experienced than his record will tell you, although only 7 fights as a pro.
Hard shot on the inside by Murata, the left side of the ear, and there's another boxing round for Murata. You get the idea in the crowd that there's an anticipation as it continues to filter in now for our main championship fights. Coming up next, Vasily Lomachenko against Romulo Kowalczyk for the WBO featherweight championship of the world. And then, of course, the big one, the welterweight world title in the WBO, Timothy Bradley against Brandon Rios. Bradley, the reigning champ. Rios, a former 135-pound champ. That's what we have coming up.
Both fighters are here already. I had a chance to run back and see if everyone was here and kind of getting loose, and Team Bradley starting to stretch it out a little bit, and Brandon Rios in the locker room listening to some music, going to get ready to wrap hands here in a little bit. So everyone's here. We're just waiting for all the fans to pile in.
Now, Brandon, when you saw him yesterday, did you think he was a little peaked, like a little dried out? I mean, even at 147. I thought one of the great comments you made when we were talking to Robert Garcia, why don't you tell him it's a 140-pound fight and let him come in a couple of pounds over that?
I'm telling you. You can't tell him it's 47.
I love that
you got to tell him it's a 140 fight, and then he'll make weight, no problem. But look, yes, I mean, he's coming off a huge layoff where he got pretty high up there in weight in his time off, and that's hard to drop when you get ready to fight after a long layoff. But made it on second attempt. But yeah, I mean, he definitely looked drained. There's no question about it.
He was only 0.2 of a pound overweight, but he looked drained. It's not the 0.2 of a pound overweight. It's that to get down to the 0.2.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did see him drinking water and stuff, even at the press conference 2 days before. So sometimes it's just that last pound, 2 pounds is really hard to shake off. But it'll be interesting to see how much he weighs tonight. I'll try to find that out for us as we get closer to the main event.
This is round 4. Ryota Murata, the top-ranked fighter in the blue trunks with the red shoes. kind of giving a boxing lesson to Gunnar Jackson right now. Gunnar's as tough as they come, but he hasn't been able to land anything too heavy that has shaken up Murata or got Murata off his fight plan. Murata seemingly able to just push him off, showing up a body strength there, head to head. Jackson gives him a shove and tries to set something up, but he doesn't get off. Murata's getting off first each time. Gunnar's got to kind of put his ears back and let it fly. He's waiting again. Tried to time a right hand, which was a good idea. And he jabs, come with the uppercut in the inside. Nothing with much power, and that's why Ryota is having a really good time of it against Gunnar Jackson right now. There was some concern, about, the fact that Jackson, 21 victories, been a professional for a lot longer than Murata, that he's never been stopped. But on the other hand, Mr. Honda wants, action fighters and find out if his guy can really fight. So they took this Gunnar Jackson, who's coming off a win, as I mentioned, and so far he's handling perfectly.
Well, yeah, I mean, and at this point, with his age at 29 years old and with at top ring with to fight these guys, he can't wait till 15 or 20 fights later. He just doesn't have the time.
This is scheduled for 10 rounds, and so far Murata's won the first 3 rounds, and he's certainly won this 4th round as well. So Gunnar's got to start doing something offensively, and number one, he's got to throw more punches. He probably can't throw them any harder. I mean, there he tried to throw that one as a roundhouse shot, but it was partially blocked in the gloves of Murata because he has a significant hand speed to even block his punches. So that's another Murata round. He's pitching a shutout so far. There's another fighter that fights down there in Australia named Jeff Horn, who's a welterweight, who I'd like to see him come up to the United States and fight. He fights in a lot of those cards with Parker and the Duco events, and I was asking some of the fellas up here what they think of him. They think he's the real deal, but the welterweight division is such a good division that you picture him against some of the guys right now. He's had only, I think, about 13 fights. He's undefeated. He hits very hard. Yeah, he hits so hard that he's broken his hands a couple of times. But that's another one that coming out of the South Pacific that holds Oriental Pacific regional titles that we look forward to coming to the United States as well. So here we go. We move to round number 5. Gunnar Jackson has got his work cut out for him. He's going to do anything with Ryota Murata. There's some distance between the two. See, that pawing with that left hand and then a lazy right hand is not going to get the job done against Murata. He's got the right idea. He's trying to throw more punches in this round, but they really look like pity-pat punches in comparison to the way Murata's throwing punches.
That had to have been the message in the corner because he's coming out a lot more active in this round, but not as effective. It's got to be that effective aggression to score points with the judges.
When I saw him against Daniel Maxwell on October 15th down in Auckland, I didn't realize that he was as light a puncher as he is. He looked a lot better in that fight, but of course this opponent doesn't help him any, because Murata is a guy they expect to have, really world-class ability, and he's handling a fighter like this with relative ease. No panic. He's enjoying his time in the ring. He's just out boxing Gunnar. Gunner's as tough as they come. Again, that's Jackson with his back too, with the tattoos on him. Heads bounced off, at least the cheeks bounced off each other. People will say that, Murata outclasses Jackson, and he does. And they're going to say, well, why couldn't he knock him out? This guy doesn't get knocked out. So I mean, if he could knock out Jackson, that would really be an exclamation point on the ability of Murata. But Murata, doing what he has to do. He's just winning every round by outboxing this guy. At some stage, Jackson is going to get a second win, and he's going to pick up the pace and try to throw some hard punches. But I don't know if he has the ability to throw anything hard enough to hurt Murata.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it doesn't seem so. I mean, if he can continue to just be more active and try to wear him down, and maybe in some of the later rounds, 8, 9, and 10 if we get there. But you can tell that Murata has no concern about the power of Gunnar Jackson.
Just landed 2 overhand rights that Jackson was able to gobble up. Jackson's as tough as they come. Now he hits him with the shoulder to back him up. That's frustration for Jackson. I mean, Jackson came out at the start of this round throwing a lot of punches, and he still continues to throw a lot of punches, but they're just ineffective.
Well, he's looking a little sloppy right now, too.
Yeah, very sloppy. Yep. So that's another Murata round. He's won the first 5. He's got a shutout going. I have it scored 50-45 in favor of Murata to this point. The taking people are going to be pretty happy about that. This is Miguel Diaz, one of the best cut men in the business. Leaning over, getting the grease on the face of Murata. Murata has such a pleasant way about him, doesn't he? He's always happy, always smiling.
He's like he's fighting with a smile. He walks back to the corner with a smile. He just seems totally at ease and comfortable and confident in himself. There's no sense of urgency, but he doesn't really need to show that. He's been in total control.
I talked about the ineffectiveness of Jackson. I mean, look at he throws 4 or 5 punches, and look at how ineffective his punches are. He taps him on the ear, and I mean, he threw, I think, 6 or 7 punches I counted there, and he only landed 2, and they were so light that didn't even get Murata to blink his eye.
It's wasted energy.
And this has got to be frustrating for Gunnar to step on the world stage for the first time against a world-class fighter and not be able to do much with him. I know Jackson quite well from the trips to New Zealand, and he's a lovely fella, but things aren't going his way in this fight. Murata's a lovely fellow as well, but he's got faster hands, and he's got the height and reach advantage, and he seems stronger. He shot. He seems to like to, just as I said it, he goes for the body shot, but he didn't catch him. That one was taken on the elbow by Jackson.
Well, and if Gunnar's going to just continue to smother and hold, he's got to find a way to get him off him.
Well, he can outbox him from the outside, Christina, as you can plainly see, and everyone that's watching can see. Because his jabs are so light that Murata just walks right through him. And there's kind of a fatigue. But this
that he's been here, Colonel, in
yes,
Las Vegas.
He came Monday, so he's had time to, acclimate himself and adjust to the time and the sleeping, which is a problem.
Yeah, and for Murata coming from Japan, but he's been training here at the Top Rank Gym in Las Vegas. So he's been here for a while.
I mean, we're Saturday night here, the time difference, and they're Sunday afternoon over there. So, it's a big difference. Decent body shot, but it has no effect on Murata. Now there's a little puffiness by the below the right eye of Gunnar Jackson. Man, I just feel the frustration for Jackson. Murata's just cruising along. He's got a little mouse by his left eye as well, but continues to.
Gunnar Jackson holding a lot in this fight. Every time he kind of tries to get inside and isn't effective with punches, he just kind of clinches like that again.
Like that, yeah. And it's frustrating for him.
It's frustrating to watch.
Hard to watch, yeah. But the one thing about Murata, he's not panicking. Kenny Bayless is earning his paycheck in this one. And that's another Murata outboxing Gunnar Jackson round. So I have it 60-54 in my score sheet. Jackson would need to outbox him in the last portion of this fight to have any shot at getting a decision.
I'd like to see maybe Ryota Murata step it up a little bit more in this next round. He's been boxing beautifully, but if they want to put him in there with Falco, or they want to put him in there with some of these guys, as maybe Bob Arum talked about, let's see if there's another level, another step up. You know, in Mike Reed's corner earlier in the night, they said, you know, let's go. We don't need the rounds. Let's try to get a knockout, and he was able to turn it up. Let's see if he can take it up to another level.
Japanese fighters are very well conditioned. They're very well disciplined.
Yep.
They stick to their fight plan. Let's see if he changes anything, as we're asking for, to try to make it a more interesting fight here. It is Jackson trying to do more, but he's getting beat to the punch now. I mean, Murata's just a better boxer than Gunnar, because Gunnar doesn't have the power when he goes on the inside, and consequently he's getting counterpunched by Murata. Jackson finally landed the right hand, but didn't even shift Murata. Imagine the frustration of throwing a punch as hard as you can and being Gunnar Jackson. It just has no effect, because it just isn't in reality that hard.
Instantly, when you said that, what comes to my mind is that Andy Lee, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight, when Andy Lee, that was in El Paso, Texas, I believe. Andy hit him with the hardest shot I think Andy could have thrown. He even said it after the fight, and Chavez Jr. just stood there and took it.
Yeah.
And you could just see the defeat on his face. At that point, he knew he had kind of lost the fight, and then he was stopped shortly after that. But as a fighter, it just breaks you morally, and it's such a mind game, even more times than physical. And when you know you've given it your all, and it's just not good enough, it's tough.
But for Gunnar to move on the international scene, coming here to the United States, and he's only had 6 losses with the 21 wins, but mostly fighting in New Zealand, and this was a big chance for him, and so far it's not going well for him. On the other hand, Murata is having what you would call a walk in the park. He's having a very, very nice outing, so it's nice. And again, the disappointment is going to be that he hasn't been able to shift this guy, Jackson. But Jackson's very, very strong. He's really got a good beard, as they say. He's very hard to stop. He's never been stopped. Tough kid.
And Bayless has warned Murata about the low blows, but he hasn't said anything to Gunnar Jackson about the holding that he continues to do all throughout the fight. At some point, he's got to be tired of breaking these guys up and just say, hey, let's go.
Well, that time, Murata just pushes him up. Murata, he hasn't had, except for a couple of times, has he been 10 rounds. So, he could be, with all the punches he's thrown, a bit of fatigue factor here. So he might not mind kind of hanging on to him. And then neither one of them are throwing punches. That time on the inside, he did cut loose, and so did Gunnar. And look at the Japanese fighter just leaning on the Kiwi. Double jab. Nothing really hard for his jab either.
But it's good to be in different styles of fights when you are coming up in your professional career, because it all lends to your experience in the ring.
There's a bit of a low blow that time off the hands of the Japanese fighter. Again, the bell ends, but Murata again outboxes him. So we're going to move to the 8th round here. This is Murata.
Agua here. Breathe.
Nothing too much to talk about, so we show you the semi-low blow. Actually, that looked like a legal punch from where I could see it. It landed kind of right. Let's see if we can see it better here.
Right on the belt line.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a low blow. It's funny when you see it live and they move right out of there. Things look different, and then we have the advantage of the replay to straighten out any misconception that we have. And Miss Marty Cohen and all our technical staff in there, replay for Top Rank, do such a great job, and we appreciate it. All right, we move to the 8th round. The Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Christina Poncher on this championship night. We've got 2 world title fights coming up. This international affair is turned into a one-sided boxing match for Ryota. Just won every here out boxing Gunnar Jackson. Jackson, an impossible guy to stop. At least nobody's been able to do it in his career. And it doesn't appear at this stage that Ryota Murata can do it either. Jackson has had the problem throughout his career of not being a one-punch sort of guy that can get you in trouble. And the local fighting that he's done, he's been better than most. But sometimes you got to get out of your country and come out in the world and see just how good you are in the national scene, and he's finding that out tonight. Don't be fooled by the fact that Ryota Murata has a record of 7-0 because he had dozens and dozens and dozens of amateur fights and state amateur for his career, and of course won the Olympic gold, and that's why he's such a big star in Japan. This is another fight. If Murata were fighting in the Tokyo Dome, he'd probably sell it out. And here the crowd just starting to come in for our championship fights here in Las Vegas. That overhand right hasn't had a lot of success for Jackson at all because it's always partially blocked by the long arms of Ryota Murata. Jackson forward, tap, tap, tap with the left hand.
Yeah, it's like you don't even want to call it a jab.
Well, the reason is, again, Christina, as I pointed out in so many fights, that guys that jab off their front foot, they can't have power in it. If you're going to throw a jab that's going to set somebody up for a really solid punch, you got to commit to it and be driving off that back foot. Now watch him when he jabs. He's off the front foot and just extends his arm out. And so, especially if the guy's way out, as Murata is controlling the distance when he wants to come in, he comes in because he has no respect for the power of Jackson, and that's a problem for Gunnar, and it's great for Murata. Murata's a little frustrated too that he can't do more with this guy either, because as you pointed out, every time Murata comes in, Jackson grabs him. He'll throw 1 or 2 punches, and Murata's pretty cute about grabbing Jackson in these later rounds. There's the bell ending the 8th round. 2 more to go, folks, and then we get on to championship time.
Straight up, straight up. Pretty deep, pretty deep.
I have it scored 80-72 with 2 to go. Jackson would need to knock out Murata, and that's not happening tonight, my friends. This guy's just too tall, has too much reach. He's a better boxer. He's quicker. And this kid's as tough as they come, but things haven't gone well from the get-go. A lot of respect for Gunnar Jackson. So here we go to round number 9 at the Thomas & Mack Center here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Colonel, along with Christina, glad that you can be with us. Ryota Murata, decked out in the navy blue with the white. A little bit of red on his swash on his trunks, a little bit of gold. And of course, Gunnar Jackson is in the white and red trunks. Kenny giving him a hard warning about the semi-low blows, I guess. Said next time he'll take a point away.
Yeah, I think he tried to break him up, and Murata threw a punch there while he was separating them. So.
Gunnar trying to get something going here, and Murata, you wonder if his feelings were hurt.
Yeah, it looked like he felt bad there for a second.
Kenny gave him a hard warning, and all of a sudden he just kind of closed down. Now here he comes back out again. The Japanese people are in general just so polite when he's admonished by the referee. It just might have taken him back just a bit. Jackson trying to mount some offense here, hanging in there, and this fight's going about as the matchmakers thought it would go. They give Murata plenty of rounds against a very tough kid from Tauranga in New Zealand who has a good record, but not a lot of power. Really clipped him with the right hand there. That's as good a right hand as probably Jackson can throw, and it just took no effect on Murata. Murata looks a little fatigued right now.
I agree.
You know, his punches are a little sloppier, but look at now, all of a sudden he lands 3 or 4 or 5 punches in a row. And now he picks it up. Just as I said he was fatigued, he turns it up a notch.
Well, then also throughout the course of the fight with the holding and the Jackson kind of putting his weight on him and stuff like that, that adds a little bit to the fatigue factor.
But you notice that the take-in fighter is doing a lot of holding on his own right too because of fatigue.
He's feeling it.
Yeah. And he's throwing a lot of punches. He hasn't been able to shift this guy, and he's doing as much tying up now as Gunnar Jackson is, but they're both very fatigued.
And it looks like Murata's face even a little bit. You can see some of the wear and tear in the fight, more so than in recent fights.
But again, Gunnar Jackson is just a very, very tough kid.
Oh, yeah.
And seemingly impossible to stop here, at least by Ryota Murata.
And I'm sure that's why Top Rank matched him against a tough guy like this.
They know what they're doing, I'll tell you.
Okay, put your hands down. Put your hands down. Put your head over here. Give me some water over here, please.
We got it 90-81 going to the 10th round with Murata winning every round of the fight. But he is fatigued.
Hit the final round. Watch your holding. Watch your holding.
Kenny tells him to watch his holding, and they're both so fatigued. That's not going to mean anything when this round gets going.
I don't want to have to take a point.
Kenny, I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't make a difference if he didn't take a point. So here we go to the 10th and final round of this fight. It's been all Ryota Murata. For Gunnar Jackson, it's been a tough trip to Las Vegas for him. But he's getting paid for it. He's a professional fighter, and he came here and did what he does. Prevents a very, very good, perhaps world-class fighter from stopping him. Murata trying to pick it up a little bit, but Jackson, as Murata picks it up, does the same thing. Look at the way Murata comes in, Christina. You know, he'll walk right in that kill zone, and a lot of times he doesn't even jab his way in, like right there. He just walked in. That time he goes with the right-hand lead. Nice body shot downstairs. And that gets Gunnar Jackson to have to hang on again. It's 2 and 3 punch combination by Jackson, but just nothing behind him. It's throws punches that go to the gloves of Murata and die.
Which is why he'll just walk in there with reckless abandon. He has no concern for Gunnar Jackson's power. And at this point, I mean, it's just he's never gone down. Ryota Murata has got out 5 of his 7 opponents. But, I mean, this is a great test for him against a guy that's tough, not necessarily because he's a hard puncher, but he's just durable. He's just taken everything.
Yeah, and that's the book on him, and that's the way he's fought. But this is, again, as I mentioned, a major steps. We'll have that.
On
So if I
too.
whack you, you get.
Well, mine already looks swollen.
That looked pretty good to me.
Ah, thanks, Colonel.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be a prize fighter. Inside of a minute to go in this fight. And there's the anticipation of our World Championship fights coming up. One may or may not be competitive, and the other will be very competitive. Lomachenko will fight from Mexico, who has Japanese blood, by the way.
He does. Grandfather, and with the last name Coasicha, even though he's a Mexican fighter. He very much honors his Japanese heritage as well.
I asked him yesterday if he'd ever been to Japan. He said, no, but I want to go. Bring your pocketbook. Closing seconds now, the 10th round. It's been all Ryota Murata. He's got a shutout in my book. I've got it 100 to 90. We'll see how the judges scored it. It's going to be a unanimous decision victory for Ryota Murata. And we'll just wait and see how much of a unanimous decision it is. We're glad that all of you people that were watching us streaming throughout the course of the evening were able to see this one. Murata will get the unanimous decision victory. You saw Miguel Mariaga win an 8-round unanimous decision victory over Guillermo Avila. Michael Reed scored a 7th-round technical knockout victory over Rondale Hubbard. And in our first fight, it was a first-round technical knockout victory for Egidijus Kavaliauskas over Jake Gauricio. Coming up, Vasily Lomachenko and Romulo Kawasika fighting for the WBO World Featherweight Championship. And then Timothy Bradley in our main event in a 12-round scheduled WBO World Welterweight title fight against Brandon Rios. Okay, Lupe Contreras has picked up the score sheets. Let's make it all official and see the unanimous decision. Here's Lupe.
Rounds here at the Thomas and Mack Center. We consult the official scorecard to determine a winner. Eric Cheek scores at 99 to 91. The winner, by way of unanimous decision, still undefeated.
See, all of that technology, all of that money, trucks from heaven, thousands of people, and still the mic goes out. So all those people that criticise Mike Goodall, you've just seen there, Lupe, doesn't matter who his backing singers are, even he was struggling. I'll talk to Richie about that fight. Plus, he's got some fantastic stuff on the Olympic middleweight gold medalist. You're going to love it. And you know what would be really funny is if we didn't get a time to talk about it because he's done about 6 hours research. Anyway, here's a little look at the world title fights coming up from our friends at Top Rank.